I'd like to talk about the guilt of resting. Yep, you heard me. And I know some of you are out there feeling exactly the same way because I am the prime example of this. I've carried this guilt around for most of my life. My family used to make fun of me because even my rest and fun were organized, which, come on, there is nothing wrong with planning joy, let's be clear, but I get it because for a long time I didn't really understand the true meaning and value of rest. I thought rest was something you did after everything was finished, after the work, after the achievement, after the proving, after the pushing. But the problem is when you're ambitious, capable, responsible, or building something, the work is never really finished. There's always another task, another idea, another email, another thing you could be doing. And we live in a culture of more, more, more. Work more, build more, post more, earn more, just be more. And look, I understand the drive, I really do. More and more of us are becoming entrepreneurs, working for ourselves, leading teams, building companies, carrying responsibility. And if even if you're in a job with weekends and holiday allowance, you can still fall into the trap of overwork because burnout is not only about how many hours you work, it's about how long your system has been running on high alert without enough recovery. And when you go into it alone and set up your own company, it become even more intense. Weekends go out the window, holidays stop happening. Your brain never fully switches off. When I set up my company, I literally didn't rest for 2 solid years. I just kept pushing. And don't get me wrong, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of the work, the discipline, the commitment, the sheer I'm going to make this happen energy. But then what would happen? I would hit a point of absolute collapse. I would either get sick or I would become incredibly emotional because my whole system was just on high alert all the time. I stopped sleeping properly. I became more reactive. And honestly, when burnout happens, it's devastating because it takes far more time and energy to recover from burnout than it would have taken to rest properly doing along the way. That's the irony. You think you're saving time by not resting, but eventually your body collects the debt. And when it does, it charges interest. For a long time, I didn't understand that. I thought, surely I'm the commander of my body. Surely I can just tell myself to keep going. And yes, in some ways, you are the commander. But if you are the commander, then you also have the responsibility to take care of the machine that is carrying you because your body is not betraying you when it asks for rest. It's signaling, it's communicating, it's saying very loudly, excuse me, we can't keep doing this. And if you ignore that signal for long enough, it'll only get louder. Your sleep changes, your eating changes, your patience changes, your emotions change, your ability to think clearly changes. You become short-tempered, dysregulated. You become a version of yourself you don't even like very much. Not because you're bad, but because you're depleted. And this is where the guilt of rest becomes so dangerous because guilt tells you rest is indulgent. Guilt tells you rest is lazy. Guilt tells you that if you stop, you're falling behind. But guilt is a human creation. It's an idea. It's not always the truth. And if it's not absolute truth, then we can question it. You can think differently. Because what if rest is not the opposite of ambition? What if rest makes ambition sustainable? For me, this started to change when I looked at it logically. And you know me, eventually everything comes back to logic and mathematics. Once I realized that burnout and collapse cost me far more than 2 hours of proper rest in the evening, I just couldn't unsee it. Suddenly, rest was not a luxury, it was efficiency. It was strategy and maintenance. It was care for the system that allows me to do the work I care so deeply about. So now, yes, I still plan. Obviously, it's me, but I plan with more honesty. I know I'm a morning person, so I do my complex work first thing when my brain is at its best. That's when I do all the heavy thinking, the strategy, the writing, the problem solving, the work that needs the sharpest version of me. Then, as the day moves on, I slow down. I do the lighter tasks, the messages, the follow-ups, the planning, the smaller bits that don't need my full creative fire. And then, revolutionary concept, I stop. I actually stop. And I've learned to enjoy it, to relish it even, because I've done the work I intended to do, not just random busy work, but the most important work when I've had the most energy for it. So I don't feel behind in the same way. I don't feel like rest is stealing from the work. And I can see that rest is supporting the work because rest does not have to look the same for everyone. For some people, it's silence. For some, it's walking. For others, it's being with people. For some, it's being absolutely unavailable at all to all humans for a while. For me, often it's movies. It's switching off by switching into a story. And I love that. So if you genuinely value your work, your impact, your people, your business, your creativity, and your purpose, then you owe it to yourself to rest, not as a reward for collapse, as protection from it. Because by the time burnout arrives, simple rest often isn't enough anymore. Burnout affects everything around you, your work, your relationships, your judgments, your joy, your health, your ability to show up as the person you actually are. But with proper rest, you come back better, clearer, kinder, sharper, more yourself. And ultimately, for me, it's very logical. You want to stay healthy long enough to do the work, right? You want to have the energy to build the thing, lead the people, make the impact, enjoy life. So why shoot yourself in the foot? Rest is not weakness. It's not laziness. It's not the enemy of ambition. Rest is how we keep the ambition alive. So if you're also feeling guilty about rest, let's talk it through because you're not alone in this. And however you see the world, I promise together we can find a healthier, kinder, more sustainable way.